Welcome to the How to Raise Money podcast for anyone who wants to raise other people's money for a business or property venture. Right now, there has never been more money on the planet, and there has never been more opportunity. This podcast will help you put the two together. So, if you need money for your business or property proposals from banks, lenders, angels, whales or dragons, this is the podcast for you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the How to Raise Money podcast. I'm Ray McLennan.
Very chilly, Ray, I can tell. And I'm Nigel T-Best. Raymondo, how the very devil are you on this? Well, we've got snow. We've got about 3 or 4 inches of snow
and
around
cold and frosty morning.
Yeah, I feel like good King Wenceslas. I'm sporting another of my natty sweater collection. And I know it's drawing disapproval from yourself, but ladies and gentlemen of the podcast, before we get going, I have to say that Mr. McLennan, when he appeared on our particular video cast this morning, he's taken it off now, but he was wearing jumper, fleece, large coat, and a woolly hat as well, because Ray, explain why you were doing that. It wasn't some fashion statement. It was indeed practical.
Yeah, apparently there was a power cut here yesterday evening, something like that. It must have been through the night or something. I don't know what happened, but anyway, it didn't set the alarm off, which is unusual because normally it sets off the alarm. So, but it meant that our boiler didn't fire up, and it's not firing up. So it's rather chilly. I'm not sure, actually, when I step outside, it seems warmer outside.
Yeah, it's one of those days where you open the fridge for a bit of warmth.
Yeah.
There you go. But Ray, I mean, interesting times. We've just had Storm R1 come down, virtually 100-mile-an-hour winds coming down, lashing the east side of Scotland and England, as well as Wales and southwest England. It's been pretty bad if you are in the tree growing business, because most of them seem to have toppled over. And it's causing problems, exacerbated by we've got snow as well at the moment. And it compounded to that, you turn the TV on for a bit of light relief, thinking, excellent, let's get some good news about the economy. Let's find out where my business is going. Let's find out who's lending money. I'm ready to go. 2022 is just around the corner. I'm ready for it. And what should I be doing at the moment? You should be buying another supply of masks, because we're heading maybe, I don't know, Ray, I know you have some fairly strong thoughts on this. Which way are we heading at this point?
Well, it seems to be waves. Everything comes in waves, doesn't it? You get a wave of fear and then everything's okay, and then another wave of fear and then everything's okay. Psychologists, say that that's a particular way of subjugation. And it seems to be that that's where this sort of thing is going. I just find it very curious that there's a lack of debate, proper debate on the television, that sort of everything is accepted as this is the way it will happen. I've said, my wife is very much on the opposite side of things from me. She's very much, let's comply, let's do everything. And I'm like, hang on a minute, let's just sort of question things a little bit. It's a bit odd. All I've ever said is I wanted to see a sort of question time style program on the TV where we've got 6 scientists on one side who have no financial ties to anybody, are independently wealthy and have no axe to grind, and then 6 on the other, and then let's see the debate. But it doesn't seem to be allowed. I think what was very interesting, you talk about the state of things and where they are. Somebody said to me the other day, I see flies are dropping like footballers these days. And then on Friday, I think it was, there was a bit of a chat about that on talk radio. And during the conversation, Trevor Sinclair, who's an ex-England footballer, he said, well, is anybody going to talk about the vaccines and what's happening? And then it was cut off. It was like a producer had pushed a button to put up a blank screen and shut everything down. I just find that odd. Why are we not talking? I just find it really, really odd. Do you not find it odd, Nigel?
No. The last thing you want to do is give the man in the street a vote. Because the man in the street hasn't a clue what's going on. But, just to put a bit of balance on things. I don't know, Ray, look, the thing that makes me laugh is all these sort of theories, and they espouse scientific views as facts, having been involved in neither one side nor the other's experimentation, nor have the mental capacity, skills, experience, or knowledge to actually determine whether any of the experiments are correct, are true, and yet we always agree with one side or the other. I'm kind of from the other side of things, and I look at it and I go, right, there's been 100 million plus vaccines so far. I don't see 100 million deaths or strange goings on. You look at the history of vaccinations, and people have this misconception that just because you're vaccinated, you'll never get it. It's there to lessen the effect, to give you a better response to things. People also are fearful of many things, but honestly, most of this could be avoided if you just washed your hands. I know norovirus is coming out to rear its head again.
Yeah.
And, with me being in the social care side of things as well, it always makes me laugh because something comes around, a new name for something, and there's absolute panic. Absolute panic goes through the staff, and you just go, well, hold on. Everything we do with PPE at the moment protects you against that as well. So just keep up the sensible measures. And I'm going to come to something here, Ray, that is a book that I remember reading a while ago. And I thought it was fascinating at the time. And I think it's this one, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, D-U-H-I-G-G. So The Power of Habit, in there, he talks about the American civil rights movement of the 60s. And what they were saying, I think it's that book. What they were saying was, if you impose some restrictions on people, on the population, you get a buy-in and everyone's happy with that. And they'll go along with it. If then you relax them or give people other rights after that, and then take them away again, that's where you get the problems. And when you analyze the American civil rights movement, there were a couple of places that relaxed and gave, I think from the book, they were saying the ability for how it was split there, colored, non-colored in those times. They relaxed it. And then there was a bit of a kickback. And so they reimposed it. And it was that reimposition, whereas people sort of went along with it, that reimposition that suddenly sparked a mass kind of rebellion against it and said, no, this is not happening again, And I think we're in that kind of position where we've had these lockdowns, and as you say, these waves come in and everyone's thinking, right, I'm looking at 2022, I'm looking at raising money, I'm looking at growing my investor pool, my network, I'm looking at the deals that I've got coming up, I'm looking at a couple of things here, and what effect is this going to have on me? And it's kind of, that's when what I'd call your sensible middle ground sort of stand up and sort of go, right, okay, enough's enough here. Enough's enough. I've got a plan for next year. I've got to, I'm doing all my research now. I'm doing my budgets. I'm looking at taking people on. I'm looking at the deals. I'm looking at investor returns and trying to sort of predict how long I'm going to borrow money for, how long is it, how long is it going to take to repay? How much is it going to cost me? All these factors. And suddenly you're thrown into this, sort of uncertainty, sea of uncertainty again. And I think this is where people will stand up and go, no, we're not having this again. So Ray, interestingly, I should say, the masks in the UK come in for public transport and retail. Yeah. Interesting how the Christmas season in the pubs and clubs and the restaurants is deemed to be really quite safe as everyone sings along to the fairy tale of New York by the Pogues and what have you, with arms around each other for hour after hour. But no, obviously that's quite all right. I don't know. This is where I know, Ray, you said have a debate where you get scientists on one side or the other. A background of mine was involved in medical and dental defense, legal defense, and you would find there that cases could take 10 years because that's exactly what happened. But it played out in court. And it was, here's a fact from a scientist, a medic, a dentist, expert, which was promptly refuted and told that was rubbish, and here's another one. And the arguments went on for years, and you will never get agreement. You'll never get agreement. But the one thing about vaccinations is if you get to a certain percentage of the population, which is probably 90+%, probably getting close to 95, it's very hard to get outbreaks because those unvaccinated are suitably distant from other people that it doesn't transmit as easily. The issue you have is if you don't get to that level, then you do get outbreaks. And as you get an outbreak, it has a greater chance of mutating. So you're kind of stuck in this thing that until you get to levels where this is suppressed, you're going to keep getting these outbreaks, and we're probably going to keep getting waves. So factor that one into your spreadsheet, folks, on your 2022 predictions. But there we go, Ray. Just my thoughts on it.
Okay. Well, the thing is, the main thing is it's all causing uncertainty, and business doesn't like uncertainty. People don't like uncertainty. You know, I saw a quote, somebody was saying they're trying to build back better. And the response was, well, instead put it back the way you found it and leave me the hell alone instead of building it back better. It's I think where people just want to get to.
Ray, did you see the HS2 that was cancelled coming up to Yorkshire and the north? Yeah. When they said it was, I think it was on Have I Got News for You when the guy said it was someone was quoted as saying it's a bit like Bullseye. Oh, look at what you could have won.
There's only people of a certain age are going to remember that now, Nigel. You got to remember the audience figures. Okay, so uncertainty is not good, and uncertainty is not good in a lot of sectors as well. I mean, look at the hospitality sector. Can you imagine? You're in the hospitality sector, you own a few pubs and you want to get an overdraft or a loan. The bank are just going to say, well, hang on a minute, it's far too uncertain. And that creates even more. So how are you supposed to raise money in that instance? It's very difficult. And yet there is more money than there's ever been in private bank accounts. There's more money there's ever been in business bank accounts. When they look at the the figures for the money supply and the amount that's held by business, it's the highest ever. So something's got to give, because with inflation, that's just going to get eroded away. So we're going to see a rise of private investors. We're going to see a rise of people taking over from the banks. That's what I think. A lot more close. So instead of this global, it's going to be a lot more close, where you've got investors that are close to you. They know you. They can actually turn up in their car and visit your business, or they can visit your building site or something like that. And I think that's where things are going to go. So for people that are listening and thinking, well, how do I raise money? You need to be focusing and thinking about your own group of investors and harvesting and encouraging your own group of investors. That's my thought, my prediction for the year coming.
Yeah, very true, Ray. One of the projects we did, which was we were looking to raise just shy of 7 figures, and we went through the banks and they messed you about, and the huge number of questions and all the rest of it, and we ended up going with a local investor, and it was very simple. It was a couple of pages in terms of the loan agreement, but the speed of it came when he visited the building, looked at it and said, yep, I know the area. Yep, I can see what you're doing. Yep, I can see the scale of it. Yep, I'm happy to lend. And I'll just send my guy around every few weeks. He'll wander around the building. He'll see where you've spent the money, and we'll release the next tranche. And oh my goodness, we went from months and months of uncertainty about where the money was coming from, because we kept getting let down at the last minute, through to somebody who pretty much within a week we'd had the first conversation. He'd come and done a viewing, then arranged for the loan. We got it signed off by the solicitors, which was very simple again. And the first tranche was in the bank account. Incredible. What a difference. What a difference. And Ray, it really is the fact that the investor knew the local area, knew what was going on, and knew that the valuations, the prices, the costs that we were talking about, he knew that was sensible. And that's the beauty of it. That's
And if
the beauty of
you
it.
compare that to nowadays with business recovery loans, you've got a situation where the Corona business interruption loan was replaced by the recovery loan scheme in May, and lots of applications went in. There are very few that have still gone through. There are very few that have gone through. I mean, we know of 3 that have been on the go since May, June, and July, and we're now in December, and they're still not across the line. They're still coming, back and forward, back and forward. The reason being that the lawyers for the lenders are very, very nervous because the bounce back loans and the Corona business interruption loans seem to have been pushed out too quick, and they reckon a large amount of people got away, a large amount of criminal gangs got away with an awful lot of money, and they don't want that to happen again. But they've gone way over, the other side now. The pendulum has swung completely, that it's getting to sort of ridiculous things. I may have mentioned it before, but there was a business had a lease registered, so owned the building, had the lease registered. They wanted to see the lease, which was at the land registry. And then the lawyers came back and said, no, we need to see a wet copy of the lease, a physical wet copy certified. And it's like, well, who does that nowadays?
So what, don't tell me you put a copy in a bucket of water and threw it at them and said, is that wet enough for you?
Yeah, I know. I felt like it, but anyway, it's just
Ray, we've had the same on a project. The very first thing was we had to give them all the planning permissions and everything in order for them to do it. We gave that across to them right at the start with all the information. They came back to us and said, oh, this planning permission was granted more than 5 years ago. And we said, yeah, but we already started. We got proof. We'll get confirmation from them that they're happy. We did all that. And about 4 months and then an arm's length list of ridiculous questions later, they got to the point where we said, okay, so come on, we're waiting. What's the decision? I said, well, this planning permission, it's not, you're going to turn it into something that we don't really lend on. And so for that reason, we're out. Well, if cartoon style, I could have reached through the telephone, I'd have been doing shaking them warmly by the throat. I mean, that's the thing that, they'd recognized it, they'd acknowledged it, they'd picked up that it was, it could have expired had we not been doing stuff. And then they come back with that. And that's why, if you've got local investors, those people, I don't know. I think because they're the decision maker, when they make a decision, they kind of stick with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the difference. Exactly. Whereas a bank, there's too many people, potentially too many layers of people, and often the message gets done. So, it changed along the way before the actual decision maker sort of, listens in and gives his verdict. Because have you ever been to those meetings, Ray, where you sit down and they go round the table, and not only do they go around at high speed where you catch neither their name nor their 4-line long title, but as you go around, you kind of sit there and you just ease back in your chair and you think, I don't think there's a single person in here on their side who is able to give a decision. And, it's happened with me, and I've actually just paused and I've gone back and I said, I didn't catch your name. And what was your title? Oh, and what was yours? And they look at me as if to say, how dare you? And then I've said, who here can make a decision on this? And, our side has said, well, from my point of view, I'm saying, well, look, I can. If we're happy, we're in agreement, I'll make the decision right here and now. Who's on your side? And it normally comes back, well, what we do is we take it back to this person. They look at what we said, and then we go to that person who makes the decision. I said, right, so I'm going to have a discussion with you, and you can ignore everything I say, and you can put your side of it to that person who then has another think and takes it up. I said, okay, I don't think there's any point to this meeting. So I've kind of stood up and made my excuses and walked out, because, why would you? Why would you?
Why indeed? Why
it's
indeed?
Bizarre. So
I've been speaking to a few bankers and people that are in lending institutions and asking them to come on to the podcast. And it's, I must admit that there's an element of reluctance on their side.
We're such friendly guys. We're so nice.
I mean, one of them is considering it under anonymity. So it doesn't want to give away the name of the bank and doesn't want to give away his name and all this kind of carry on. And I think
Ray,
he's terrified he'll lose his job or something. Why would you be terrified of that? Come and just tell us. There's clearly something They want to keep
yeah, but
Stumm
Ray,
about. Yeah,
Ray, the intro is going to be, "Hi, I'm," and it's with me. That sort of anonymity, is that what they're on about?
That's it. Oh no, we will get some on. They'll be off over Christmas, New Year, so we'll get a few interviews in the bag, I reckon.
Yeah, do you know, I think the other thing as well for 2022 is I think a lot of people are getting to the point where they think, right, okay, I need to take control of things myself. 2022, I really need to step up and do it. But it's amazing, Ray, isn't it? The number of people that we talk to who, I don't want to sort of put it too heavy, but are riddled with self-doubt, lack of confidence, and feeling that they would, if they were standing in front of an investor, would make a fool of themselves. That self-doubt comes about, from our Crest model. They feel there's a lack of credibility. Mm-hmm. So, and all these things, I think, are just holding people back. I think you get to a point where the economy is always doing something weird. There's always unexpected shocks. There's always things going on. And I think people have hidden behind it maybe too long as an excuse. And I think 2022 should be the year that you stand up and say, no. If I'm short on skills, I'm going to learn them. If I need to get this here and do some public speaking or learn some confidence or learn some money confidence, then I'm going to get those. I'm going to stack them and make sure that I've got everything I need for 2022. And certainly, Ray, it's our ambition to help people do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, indeed. Just contact us at htrmoney.co.uk and you can see there how it's done. Right. Okay, yep. Nigel, I think we have exhausted this topic for now. We've got some interesting things coming up over the next few weeks, and we hope to interview some people and get some different voices into the podcast, which will make it much more educational and entertaining for you all. So on that particular bombshell, I've been Ray McLennan.
And go get your jab. No, don't get your jab. Yes, get your jab. No, don't. Yes, get your jab. Put your hat back on, Ray. I'm still Nigel T. Best. We'll see you soon, folks. All right, cheers. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the How to Raise Money podcast. It's made for people who want to raise money as debt or investment equity for their business or property proposal or empire. See you next time, where we can show you how to raise money. There is abundance. There is money enough for everyone on the planet. The question is, who has yours?